Come on.
Totally,
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 totally not a podcast.
We're back on Totally Not a Podcast.
TNAP.
New setup, new
Totally
year,
Not a podcast.
new everything.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be back, in all seriousness. I missed this. So, today,
What's up, guys? Like, share, hit
so-
that, smash that
Disney
button.
announced that they have a new wave of Star Wars and Marvel films that are going to be released on their streaming platforms.
Exclusively?
I know, well, for Star Wars, all the TV shows and all that are, and Marvel, the TV shows will be too. I think they're going to try to get some of the Marvel movies in theaters, as far as I know. And HBO Max, Warner Brothers, they're releasing all of their movies on streaming.
No theaters.
So this really caused me to just really look back on, like, the new wave of technology that has happened in the past 10, 15 years. And so it just got me thinking about the danger of movie theaters and what we could do about it. And so that's what I wanted to talk about. So, you know, Netflix has been around since the 90s, right? And Netflix, changed the game when they created streaming in 2011. And I remember when this happened because everybody started getting them.
You guys were big
Yeah.
Netflix users.
Everybody had Netflix all of a sudden. It was one of those things where just all of a sudden everybody knew what it was and had it. And then after that, we saw a bunch of other studios. And
Because I remember the first time I saw Netflix, it was at a friend's house. I won't say his name, but he had it on the little TV monitor for the computer, and most of it was renting DVDs, but
that's how
there
they
were-
started their business.
yeah, there were a few movies that you could watch on streaming.
Yeah.
And it was very selective. There was only a few, but I remember that.
And
I was amazed by it.
yeah, it was a revolutionary idea, and it changed the game. And it's interesting to look back and, like, when we were kids and, like, so many things, because of the thing about just technology in general is it hasn't shaped the culture, it's become the culture, I would say. Technology is the culture. It's not like, when you look back, any generation could look back and be like, things were better when we were younger. But, like, the difference now between every other generation is, like, technology is the culture. Social media, streaming platforms, YouTube, that's the culture. That's the community. That it's created a whole new reality, which I think is honestly, in a lot of ways, very dangerous towards the younger generation.
Medium is the message.
But yeah, and that's ultimately what I wanted to talk about. So I mean, yeah, we could look back and, like, when we were kids and places like Toys R Us, Blockbuster,
Yeah.
all those places
I'm sorry, VHS or
Yeah,
DVD rentals.
all of that stuff is, like, obsolete now. Like, it's not relevant. Blockbuster doesn't exist. Toys R Us doesn't exist. And, like, those places were experiences. And now, we, instead of Blockbuster, we have Netflix. Instead of Toys R Us, we have Amazon. And
Yeah. And for me, for example, it came up very suddenly because, well, for one, I grew up in the mountains. So
you grew up to going to this small
yeah,
video
there
store.
was no movie theater. The video store was around until, like, 2017. I knew the owners,
Jacob.
close with them.
Yeah.
And we would go there every Wednesday because they had 3 for $3, 3 movies for $3, and you could rent as long as they weren't new movies. New movies were like $2.50 or $3 for a night or a weekend. And so, we always liked deals, and so we'd be able to get these movies, and that's where they had a classic movie section, and I would always go there.
I remember that.
Yeah, pick
movie
the classic movie section.
store.
I remember it was in the back of the store, small little store.
I remember it very well.
So I didn't go. And then also at home, my parents they bought a flat screen TV like a year ago.
Yeah, same. My parents never had a
Up
TV
until
like
that point,
Yeah.
they literally had a tube television, and this is 2020, so we're talking like a year ago. That's when they've upgraded.
Yeah, same. Both of our parents weren't, like, super into that.
Yeah,
So-
and streaming and stuff. So for me, I feel like I grew up in the 90s almost. 'Cause but it was crazy. It's like you can access any movie now.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
Like, so yeah, I wanted to talk about the benefits and the downfall basically of technology. And it's interesting because like that experience is now gone of Blockbuster, and like I said, if you wanted to see a movie, like you had to work a little bit to get it a lot of times, well, now you can just, if you want a movie, you can just type it in.
And it makes it hard to watch movies.
Yeah.
I don't have I hate watching movies streamed. And one of the reasons is because I lose motivation to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Things lose their intrinsic value when you have more access to them. You don't
have to work towards it. It's like in Jurassic Park where he's like,
oh, what, you want me to do the scene?
Yeah, you slap it on a plastic lunchbox and bam, you sell it.
Yeah, he's like, before you even knew what it was, you patented it and you packaged it, and that's things.
Yeah,
you're selling it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like, before you, what does he say? He says, you guys were so caught up on the fact that you didn't stop to think that if you should.
Yeah.
And that's going to ruin the next generation, essentially. And that's
being
kind
able to
of
watch movies easily.
just technology in general. Like, we'll get into the rest of it, but we're focusing on films right now, specifically. And like I said, things lose their intrinsic value if you have further access to them. So, the problem. Well, you can talk.
No, go.
All right. So the problem is like if you don't have to work towards getting anything, then like you're not going to want to do it as much, because that's just part of being a human. You feel like you earned it. That's just part of being a human. Even though every human wants to have a society where they have everything for them and they don't have to work. Like, everybody thinks that's like a utopia. Everybody would be miserable in that kind of society. That's the reality, because that's part of
but most people.
Good people.
Yeah, good people.
Well, there are some people, that benefit off of and don't do anything, but the majority, like that's just part of human nature. And so I fear with technology, that's kind of what's happening with everything, not just movies, where it's like we have so much easy access to them that like where everything's just losing its value. Like, even like toys for kids.
Well, if you really want to get to the heart, like an example would be how technology has it's cheapened many things, and also
everything.
It's like access to pornography is an example.
Yes, everything.
Fed into
like I
our
said,
society.
Amazon, Netflix, pornography, social media accounts.
Yeah,
this is the
something
culture.
Like pornography used to be extremely difficult for like
you
a
have
child
to pay to get it
to access.
Yeah,
or even hard for like many people, because you'd have to go somewhere.
Yeah, you'd have to work to get it.
Yeah, and
now you could just type in, something sexual,
and people. It is messing with certain societies. Like, I've read articles about Japan, and some societies where they don't see a reason to be involved in relationships or.
Yeah, that's another thing that technology in general has done, is like it's kind of ruined the whole like human connection. Like, that'll always be there,
but it's also enhanced it.
Yeah.
So you can't like, I get what you're saying. I'm trying
benefits,
to hear it.
Downfalls, dude.
But
so
I am very skeptical of the idea that technology is overall negative.
I didn't say it was overall negative.
So you think it does ultimately
I think there are more goods than bads.
You do?
But I think people are ignoring the bads too much, and they're going to take over if we don't look at
But
them.
I asked this question last night. I was like,
to me?
Is there no? I was like, just out of nowhere, it just came to my mind, and I'm like, is there more evil in the world than good? I think that's a deep question.
Well, I mean, that's a completely different.
Well, here's why I bring that up.
Thing.
I think if it's something I think about every day. I don't know why, but I'm like, is there more evil than good? What I'm getting at, technology, like I think ultimately will conclude, technology is a reflection of people. So,
I agree.
People or the world itself, I do think it's very likely that there's more evil in the world than good.
I don't know.
You don't. I mean, that's
no. I mean,
it depends
terrorists,
on the worldview.
murderers. They're definitely more in the minorities of people than like.
Well, no,
the
I
majority.
mean like the world itself is the theme that unites everyone is some sort of tragedy, not some sort of good. Because some people experience.
You're not wrong.
Like, I think everyone experiences
if you look back at history,
tragedy in some way, but not everyone experiences good in some way. at least maybe they do a little bit, they see a flower, it's a beautiful flower. They have love for a bit, but life overall for many people can be horrible, tragedy. Now, I don't know how many people, even the best lives ever, if you could say that it wasn't, the tragedy itself wasn't there. Now, that's totally a philosophical question.
Well, you brought up a good point on the other day where you said, everybody has in common that like they've experienced like something bad in their lives. Like that's like suffering is the guaranteed experience that you're going to get out of life. So anyways, but this is off topic.
Well, what I'm saying is with technology ultimately is a reflection of people.
Yeah, and that's a really good point.
So would that mean, I guess it's all like a philosophical question, because technology could be created to make drones that kill people, or it could be created to make drones that deliver packages.
Yeah,
it could be created to make chemicals that save people as medicine, or chemicals used in warfare, to murder people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the classic tool example, which is, I mean, that's what you're using. Like technology can either be used for good or for evil. It's just a tool. But the problem is like it's gone beyond the tool stage. Like I said, it's literally the culture. It is our society. It's not like our community uses technology. Our community is technology. That is the community. That's the thing that's very different that we've never really seen in any other generation. Because every generation has technological advances, but now it's like technology's created a whole new reality. And I think for the most part, like our generation and older, like because we experienced stuff before, like we're not like, the majority of us aren't going to be like, we're not buying into the reality.
Well, I'd say most people in our generation, we're a weird exception.
Yeah.
Because we're
sheltered
in many ways.
Our generation and younger are kind of screwed because this is what our reality has become. And I was talking about this with somebody else where I was like when you think about it, like this is all they know. Like like the younger generations, like my niece, and like this is all she's gonna know, like phones and social media and like it's like all this stuff that we grew up with is becoming obsolete, which is fine. That's kind of a part of decades changing in every generation. But like I said, the difference is that it's going more towards the way of technology and that reality, and like how you could change your face on social media. And
well, I like what you said, that it's becoming the culture itself. And
that's a good tool for the culture.
Because here's a good example. Let's look at the 80s, the prime decade of pop culture. Mm-hmm. You got Michael Jackson, you got MTV, you got Prince, George Michael. That's just music. Mm-hmm. Then we're talking about Back to the Future, Star Wars, lunchboxes. You got television going crazy. The 80s, right, was a pop culture prime time. Mm-hmm. And there was a unified culture. People wore similar clothes. They wore similar brands. They had similar hairstyle.
This is the first decade where I haven't seen anything like that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
even the 2000s had a style.
Well, but you could see even in the 2000s, like things since the 80s that was a peak, and things have been slowly declining. Now you could say, okay, that's good because things are becoming more spread out, in terms of what has a pinpoint influence on the culture. But you could also say, I just hit my mic. You could also say that it's leading to things like the division that we're seeing because people have nothing that unites them.
It's because
they're losing the things that unite them. Even Star Wars is becoming politically divided.
Star Wars is dead.
Even right, all these things that used to unite people culturally have been eaten away at, and really, there's no unifying American or
there isn't
worldwide kind of. This is the 2020s. Let's do this.
As far as movie theaters, what do you think? What can be changed about that with streaming versus movie theaters? Because obviously, with streaming, the reason why it's become popular is because it's cheaper. Like people are like, especially younger people, they're like, well, why would I spend $13 watching this one movie when I can pay a subscription $7 a month to watch thousands of movies? It's like, well, of course
I don't know
I'm not
what the solution is. To be honest, it's hard for me to understand why people watch movies and TV, because I don't. It's like hard for me to sit down and like watch a movie or watch a TV show. I just like can't do it. And it's funny because like I want to make movies and stuff.
Yeah,
But
well,
it's very difficult because it's like I want to be doing stuff. I want to go and create or whatever, you know, and
you
talking
like
to people.
experiences.
Yeah,
You don't want
So-
everything to be done for you.
yeah. So
That's the thing.
it's hard for me to get in that mindset. Like,
Well, think about
Um,
think about it as a filmmaker. Like, all right, your movies, you want your movies to be distributed in theaters. I'm assuming, right? So you don't want them to just be on a streaming thing on Netflix. Like, think about how that's going to affect you as a
well,
filmmaker.
that's maybe the only way. I mean, it's like an existential question. I think movies are eventually they're going the route of what paintings are. They're made for the elites. Eventually, they're made for the elite art critics. And that's kind of why, because who knows? I mean, I'm talking like hundreds of years from now, but right now, technology is moving things away from theaters. I think theaters are amazing.
Well, movie theaters, like I said, like everything else, Blockbuster, Toys R Us, it was like it's an experience that cannot be replaced. Now it's been, like I said, I mean that's the way things always work. It's like convenience always beats experience, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, like
So
to be honest, if I owned my own theater,
that'd be cool.
I would not go to the regular theaters unless I was like just hanging out with somebody. But that's why one of my goals is to own a movie theater.
Yeah, I mean
that I can have for myself.
that's a good
because
idea.
It's more about, to me, it's about the sound and it's about a big screen and seeing it with people.
Yeah, and the smell of popcorn.
But I like to talk during movies. I like to kind of make fun of. I don't know. Sometimes
depends.
we've had experiences where the guys are like, oh,
Shut up,
can
bro.
you shut up, bro.
He's like, hey, you want to shut up? He like stood up.
It's like trying to impress his girlfriend. It was so awkward.
Doctor Sleep. I remember
Yeah.
that. Or that one time we saw a terrible movie
Yeah.
called Ridicule, and
Ridicule.
then the guy, he was like, "Hey, do you guys mind?" We were like, we just ignored him.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
left. he left the
left.
movie theater because he was
left
pissed
us.
off.
He left us.
That's not what I'm gonna do. Okay. So.
I love movie theaters.
It's like those need to stay alive, but they're going more towards the route of like
I don't know
dying.
if they need. Yeah, I mean, it's like
people don't like if you talk to the average person, they're like I said, they're like, why would I go to the movie theaters? It's expensive. People
Yeah.
there can be loud. They just look at the negatives. They don't think about the actual experience. And they're like, when I could just watch it at home in my pajamas. It's like, because it's an experience.
But is there
You know?
a solution to that?
I think we could revive the movie theaters if we show how valuable the experience is, how unique that is.
Movie theaters
Yeah.
need to be like a party, man. Like, I want to show up. I want to be dancing, dude. I want to be dancing on the ceilings, man. I want there to be food. I want, my whole idea is you mix together. You make it like Broadway. Like, people are up there singing and dancing, and like, that's what I want. I want to be
Like El
engaged.
Capitan.
Yeah, I want
Okay.
like an engaging experience.
Yeah, that's
I don't know. Who knows if that? What? Yeah.
yeah. There are movie theaters that are like that, like the El Capitan or a couple other ones like that have that where they have like a show. It's not just a Q&A. They'll have like a show in the beginning of like what the movie is kind of like, and then like they'll talk about it, and like those are cool. Those like aren't very popular though, so it's like those can be like revived. I think like even your idea of the movie theater, which is like that idea, but like on a larger scale, like it was a great idea.
Well, I think like Disneyland is the best example that we have of like taking live in-person entertainment and making it more than, it's a fulfilling, full experience that you get to be a part of.
People do want the experience, and like I said, in terms of just society in general, like convenience always wins. So it's like you have to show like that this is like this is something that's important. If you show that to the culture, people will do it. If you show this is important, like you're missing out on something, people will do it. So that's what we have to show.
Yeah, but the thing
we
about
do it.
movies is that they don't live up to what people expect anymore, I think. Like out of an entertainment experience.
It's so true, and it's because we have things like video games and
YouTube. Like
YouTube.
YouTube's a good example that it's it's educational. It's on your phone. You don't have to pay attention sometimes. Like it's so, you create your own experience on there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And movie falls short. And I think the movies that they're making now are just they're just tools to keep us all stupid. That's my point. I think
Dang, dude.
as long as these
extreme.
companies keep people interested in the crap that they are putting out, they can always have like a general audience and like people crying because, you know, their favorite superhero died or something. Like,
Yeah,
that's what they want. They want people hooked. They're going to do everything they can so that they keep you coming back. But to me,
who's
like
they?
a movie studio.
China.
No, well, yeah, but a movie studio.
Yeah.
Movie studio. That's what they were looking for. For me, I don't know. It's harder for me to buy into that.
Yeah, I mean, movies are so special to me. You know, they're everything. Like the only reason I understand the way the world works is because of movies. Man.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Movies are an incredible.
They can be really
gift.
powerful. They can be emotional. They can be. You could learn something out of them.
And
you
they're
can have
better
a
in
surreal
theaters.
experience. Yes.
They are. Movies are better in theaters.
Guaranteed. They are.
Go to
Unless you
theaters,
go to
guys.
like a crappy theater. Like they're usually better. Like it's a better experience, more memorable.
It's a religious experience because you're going into
spiritual.
Yeah,
it's a
but you're
spiritual
going.
experience.
It's like going to a church. You sit down and you give your attention to the artist for that time, and you're respecting. It's hard for me to respect a movie when I'm watching it in my living room.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a billion of them, and like I said, there's no, like, yeah, there's no respect for movies anymore. That's another. There's no respect.
You
Respect.
got no respect.
Respect.
Like
Disrespect
Joe
me.
Pesci. Disrespect me in front of my friends.
Every gang person ever. No, I mean that's the problem, and that's what's happened. You know, with Star Wars, too. It's like, you know, Star Wars was a movie that came out every once in a while, and like, you know, yeah, Lucas would intentionally he wouldn't show much about what the movie was about, or even the kind of effects we were using. He would have sneak peeks, but he wouldn't even tell them the name of the movie, you know, and that like created this anticipation that people, you know, and that was a special experience.
Yeah.
Now they turned Star Wars into Marvel, which I knew they were going to do as soon as they bought it, and now like we get, you know, we have Rogue One and the 3 sequels and Solo and all those movies, and it's like it's completely ruined the magic of Star Wars, just like as a product in general.
Yeah.
And that's why nobody even cares about Star Wars. When you say Star Wars, people are like, who cares? Like, or yeah,
War stars.
or they're like, they treat it like a superhero movie, like The Mandalorian. They're like, wasn't it so cool when he did that one thing?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's completely different, and it's kind of bad because Star Wars falls in line with the problem that with technology in general is that we have so much access to all this mediocre content.
Yeah.
That like people are just numb to it, even if they see something great.
Yeah,
they're like,
man.
I'd rather settle for the mediocre stuff. That's scary. It's pretty scary.
I think everything that's worth doing takes a certain amount of sacrifice. Every movie worth watching takes a certain amount of, like, I don't know, humility sometimes. You have to be open-minded. Say, I may not like the point of view that they're coming from, but I'm going to accept it to be able to watch this movie, be able to enjoy it. Some movies require you to be like, you know, it's not going to be the most exciting thing in the world, but I'm going to sit down and watch. And, you know, like there's this give and take. But when you watch something that is spoon-fed to you or manipulates you to keep you hooked, you know, like a drug or like junk food, I think it's the best analogy, junk food versus like real food. You got to cook real food. You got to pay the big bucks.
Well, yeah, the problem with junk food is like,
You got to go in the field and grow it yourself.
Yeah. The problem with junk food is like, you know, the reason people buy junk food is because it's more affordable and it's easier.
And
it's more
because we've
convenient.
seen in the media over and over again.
It's promoted in the media and it's more convenient.
Yeah, so it's
And
easy.
it's cheaper.
It's an easy answer to go, oh,
So-
I want to eat this burger.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Because it's easy. But
it's easy.
is it
yeah.
best? Right?
No.
Movies are the same. Movies for me, I have to go, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch this movie. Even the best movies, even movies I love. Because it takes a certain amount of sacrifice to do that.
Yeah, it
Some
is.
people, they just love watching movies and they can sit down anytime, any place and watch it.
Yeah, I can't do that.
But-
Like, I
yeah.
put all of my effort into watching a movie when I watch, even if I've seen it a million times. Like, Lawrence of Arabia or something. Like, if I watch the movie, I'm gonna watch it.
That's a good example.
I'm not gonna like. I've never liked when people just like watch movies and then like they walk around and like
Yeah.
they're half paying attention. They make fun of it the whole time,
Yeah.
and that's it. Like, I've never been in. I've always like I'm trying to have an emotional experience here. That's why I don't watch like a lot of movies anymore.
And movies, they don't fit in with that immediate TikTok culture,
They don't.
It's
and
not a good
That's
fit.
why they're dying.
Yeah. So
Because that's becoming more big.
the way
the
to
problem.
solve that, like I said, I think it just comes down to the individual. I think the best movies ever made are behind us. There will be
Yeah.
great movies that are made, but I think the golden era is over. Which maybe that's fine, because maybe we're going to move on to virtual reality
Kill me.
and something like that. I don't know.
That's scary. No.
Yeah, it's
Like I
amazing.
said, we are going more towards that route. And like you said, there isn't really anything you could do about the fact that movie theaters and movies in general aren't as like celebrated in the culture as
It's
they were
not your
before.
fault.
Yeah, there really is nothing we could do about it except, try to keep movies alive as both filmmakers, and that's all we can do.
We got to make
know.
movies that inspire and empower people, not empower in the way that Hollywood calls it. Which, no, we need movies that give people the belief in themselves that they can change the world, and they can move on from the cloud of media and the technology and the things that are trying to control us, the government, that we can move on and we can be individuals, and that we don't need to be crushed by a culture that everyone's posting a black square on Instagram because everyone else did. We don't need that.
Black Lives Matter.
Right? We need a culture of individuality. And to me, the best kind of movies, the movies that I want to make eventually, are movies that are promoting an individual to say, you can do this because you are a king. That's what I want to say. That's the message.
Like Rocky.
Yeah, like Rocky. Rocky's a great example.
Yeah, I agree. I think, no, there are still a lot of artists out there, and I hope that we celebrate that more in our culture. Just creating and, like you said, individualism. And, I hope that that happens, dude. But yeah, that was it. Thanks for watching.
Totally not a podcast.
Podcast.
Totally not a podcast.
Peace out.
Peace, bro.
Peace and love.
Hey, Jamie, can you pull up that
Okay.
picture of the Earth balls?
All right. Cut. Rakesh. He's like, I fell asleep now. I died.